If you want to get better at a sport, just playing it is not the most efficient way to improve. A lot of progress happens off the field, training the specific skills that hold you back. Shooter games are no different. In-game, you only see the result. You hit shots or you miss. But under that are smaller skills working together, like different physical abilities in sports. Some players struggle with clicking, some with tracking, some with switching between targets. They all look like bad aim, but they are not the same problem. To improve efficiently, you have to break performance down into smaller parts and train that part that is actually weak. In the last video, we used benchmarks to figure out where your aim is weak. But benchmarks is a test, not a training plan. Like in the gym, improvement comes from 3 things. Isolation. You spend more time on weak or important areas, not everything equally. Specificity. You use tasks that match the exact skill you are trying to build. Progressive overload. The difficulty has to be high enough to force improvement. Too easy does nothing. Too hard just turns into failure. So in this video, we take your weak benchmark scores and turn them into a clear aim training plan. Before we talk about specific tasks, we need to talk about structure. Here's how to set up your aim training so it actually works. There isn't just one way to split it. Some people train full body, a bit of everything in one session. Some people split upper and lower. Some people do push-pull legs. Aim training works the same way. You can train all aim categories in one session, or you can focus more on one area per day, like tap one day, track another day, switch another day. The exact split matters less than consistency. Aim improves best when you train regularly over time, not in random long sessions. This is similar to how spaced repetition works in studying. Instead of cramming for hours once, you review information in shorter sessions across multiple days, which helps your brain adapt and remember better. Your aim mechanics improve the same way. If you are doing a real aim training session, not just a quick warm-up, it is mentally demanding. Your focus, reaction, and control all get fatigued. So try to place longer aim sessions either a few hours before you grind ranked or after your main games are done. Avoid heavy aim training right before serious matches. Just do a quick 5 to 20 minute warm-up instead. Rest days and sufficient sleep also matter. Your nervous system and coordination need time to recover and adapt. As they've said, real progress happens when you're sleeping. Training hard every single day with no break can lead to fatigue and burnout. The next step is choosing what to train. This is where your benchmark results come in. Each low score points to a specific mechanical weakness. Instead of guessing, we match that weakness to the right kind of task. We will go category by category, starting with tap. Tap is your clicking skills. Whether you're only weak in one specific subskill, or you are generally struggling in this area, it's always useful to include tasks that train clicking as a whole, similar to a compound exercise in the gym. For tap, we recommend adding Adjustshot 4 targets in your training plan. It supports every tap subskill you're about to work on. Now for your isolation training in tap. Time measures how well you time shots when a target crosses your crosshair. A low score means poor timing on shots. To improve this, you want tasks that stress timing more than flicks or micro adjustment. We pick Strafeshot 2-click for strafing targets on Strafeshot and Leapshot for bouncing targets on Bounceshot. The tasks have multiple difficulty variations. Choose a level that feels challenging but still decently doable, so you are pushed to improve. Flick measures how accurately your crosshair lands on a target for fast and wider adjustments. A low score means your flicks do not stop precisely on the target. You're often missing, correcting, or hesitating. And also that you are not going as fast as you could. You are not pushing yourself enough. To improve this, you want tasks that focus on your initial flick precision and tasks that pressures you to be fast, so you can gain confidence and accuracy on your flicks over time. So we picked Pulseshot Precision to push you to be quick on Pentaflick, and Deepflick Pokeball to improve your precision on Deepflick. In this scenario, you don't need to shoot. Just hover your mouse over the targets to kill them. Keep in mind, they have health regeneration, so make sure to eliminate them before moving on to the next one. Anticipate measures how well you can click on targets with predictable movement. A low score means you're behind target and trailing, or you're waiting too long by leading your shot too much. Tasks with readable movement patterns and challenging target size that reward good timing and precise initial flicks are ideal. Play Frogshot S3 for fly shot and Twoshot vertical narrow for isolating vertical flicking on lift shot. Micros measures fine aiming skills. A low score means you're struggling aiming on smaller targets. Tasks like Adjustshot micro reflex for targets that need movement reading and train reacting to new spawns on gentle shot are a good fit. And Amare dynamic micros for small, moving targets on microbounce. Now let's move on to track, which is about staying on moving targets. For track, play Controlsphere. It builds overall tracking control that carries over into all the subskills we're about to cover. For individual subskills, precise is your baseline tracking stability, how smoothly you're aiming and how steady you can stay on target. When this area is weak, even simple movement exposes small shakes or drifts in your aim. Verttrack S3 features even greater vertical angles than normal bounce tracking scenarios, which makes it great for bounce track. And Smoothsphere's long strafes and gentle vertical movement movement makes it a great choice to train your smoothness for laser track. Reactive tests your tracking reaction skill when the target suddenly changes direction. Struggles here look like getting thrown off by quick turns and taking too long to reconnect your crosshair. Fartrack OW has the perfect movement patterns to train tracking short and long strafing targets. Great for scoring higher on droid track. And UFO involves verticality, direction change, and close range tracking like snitch track. Control comes into play when movement is curved or speed changes gradually instead of sharply. It is an in-between of precise and reactive tracking. Low scores here mean you need to work on your speed matching skills. Controlsphere emphasizes the hovering motions from Hovertrack, and Arctrack has shorter, more frequent jumps than Ravetrack to get more reps in on the arc movements. Strafe is where your own movement starts interfering with your aim. You might track fine while standing still, but lose stability once strafing is added, or when an enemy starts anti-mirroring your movement. Anti-centering focuses on horizontal dynamic aiming in dual track. Vertical anti-centering isolates vertical control, while angle anti-centering combines both X and Y axis movements. These are tasks to use if you need higher scores on Skytrack. You will notice some of these tasks have versions labeled 1 and 2, and sometimes up to 4. Those separate different movement rotations like clockwise and counterclockwise patterns on both axes. You can either train all directions for balance control or focus on a specific rotation if that is where you struggle the most. Now for Switch, which is about how swiftly and cleanly you move from eliminating one target to the next. For Switch, add Angleswitch Novice S3. It gives you balanced practice across the different switching mechanics we're about to cover, moving into the individual switch skills. Speed is about the pace at which you move between targets. A low score here means your raw transition speed between targets needs work. Skyswitch Evo BF6 is perfect to work on your speed on slide switch because it has similar movement and features targets that get smaller the better you do, helping you maintain your speed as you move to smaller targets, while Dotswitch BF6 has less targets that are static, ideal for training for curve switch. Transition covers what happens right after the flick, when you need to settle onto the target instead of flying past it. Weak scores here look like you lost control after the flick. Jumptrack is the invincible tracking version of Jumpswitch. Use it to understand its movement patterns. And Evasive micro switches regenerating target forces you to stay locked on after the switch and jolt switch and quickly switch between clusters. Stability is about how composed your crosshair stays throughout the switch, both during the flick between targets and while controlling the aim after landing. A low score here means your aim shakes or feels unstable either as you move between targets or while tracking them after the switch. Angleshot micro VALORANT, while a clicking task, isolates the stability needed between targets during the switches in gentle switch. Skatetrack is the single target tracking version of Skateswitch, helping you build the control needed on the tracking that happens after the switch. Acquisition is about how quickly you recognize and get onto a brand new target. Struggles here usually show up as hesitation before your mouse even starts moving, because the next target is not being picked up fast enough. Speedswitch 90 BF6 trains faster horizontal pickup needed for quick switch and pentaswitch. And you can add multi-bounce tracking for pentaswitch if vertical aiming is a weakness. That covers the individual skills. Now let's step back and see how to fit it all into a real training routine. You don't have to train everything every day. Just like in the gym, different splits can work. You can run full aim sessions where you train tap, track, and switch all in one day. For this plan, we'll use a rotating split. Day 1 is a tap focused day, starting with general tap work and adding isolation for your weakest benchmark skill. Day 2 focuses on track, with the same weakness isolation idea. Day 3 focuses on switch, with isolation on the same weak area. Add rest days as needed, then repeat the cycle. There's no perfect split. The best one is the one you can stay consistent with. Once you know what day you're on, keep the session short and focused. 3 to 6 15-minute aim sessions per week is plenty if you stay consistent. Start each session with the general task for that day's main category to build overall control. Then add 1 or 2 isolation tasks based on your lowest benchmark sub-skills. That's where most of your improvement will come from. Run each task for 3 to 5 focused attempts, taking short breaks between runs so your quality stays high. When something starts to feel easy, increase the difficulty. If you're constantly losing control, play the less challenging variation, just enough to keep the reps clean and deliberate. Stay on the same setup for a few weeks. Use benchmarks once a week as a high score test to track your progress, then adjust based on the patterns you see. Benchmarks is there to show you where your aim is weak. It's not the training itself. Use your scores to pick the category you need to work on. Start with the general task, then add isolation for your weakest sub-skills, and follow the routine you just built. Give it time. Real improvement comes from consistent, focused reps over weeks, not random grinding. Instead of guessing what to train, let your weaknesses guide what you work on. Stick with it, and I'll see you in the next one.